But, I guarantee you that you will be taken care of and you will see progress. Now, for me, speaking for myself, when I started telling my story, I saw immediate progress. Immediate. Because I was spiritually guided to do so. I was spiritually advised to speak up. That wasn't my idea. So when I started doing so, I noticed how my life changed for the better. I noticed how my health started to improve, and I started to be more resilient. I started to be more firm about my boundaries. And if they violate my boundaries, I can, call for help. I could pray to the universe. You know what I mean? I could do, whatever it is that the universe is advising me to do, or whatever my intuition tells me to do. I could do that. Most definitely. Yeah. And I do. Whatever the universe asks me to do, I do. And things have gotten better. I'm not saying that their behavior has improved, because it has not at all. It's just the protection that I received now, it has increased since before I started telling my story. Because before I was telling my story, a lot of the inappropriate groping that they do now, back then it was them trying to stabbing me, them shooting me, them poisoning me to try to make me miscarry. Back then I was like losing a significant amount of blood, and yeah, it was a lot going on. Like, I was passing out, I had headaches, I was dehydrated. Sometimes it'd be moments where I would just pass out and hit my head on the concrete, and I would be stumbling while I was walking. It was real bad. Like, I just lost so much blood that I could barely even walk. And it started to, like, my vision started to blur. It was just so much that was so much physical violence, so much sexual abuse that was being used against me, that it was killing me. And there were some supporters that had gone through the same thing that I had been through, or they were victims of human trafficking that were forced to participate in the group assault, right? Forced. I'm talking about the specific people that are victims that were, their free will was violated. They were not in a mental capacity to where they could operate or function at all. And what happened to them will be considered a sexual assault on top of what they were forced to do to me. Do you understand what I mean? I know it sounds crazy, but I'm a victim of human trafficking, and I can testify and say that I was forced to do things that I didn't even remember because I was so drugged. You understand? Like, my free will was violated. I was drugged. I was not in full capacity. I had no control over my motor skills. I was stumbling. I was like barely asleep. Like, I barely even had a pulse, because I feel like because I had been drugged so much over the years, it was starting to affect with my heart condition, because I have asthma. So it was really starting to trigger my asthma, and it would be long periods of time where I would go without breathing because I was so heavily drugged. Like, I was so heavily drugged. And it's kind of like that now, but it's not as bad as it was back then. Because back then, I had no control over my body. Most of the time, I had no memory. And then when the higher power started to take good care of me and protect me, I started to remember more. My vision started to clear up. I had more energy. I had a little bit more control over my motor functions when I was drugged. Like, I may be like slightly conscious, but I can't do anything about my physical body. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't control my body, but I may have been awake, but I couldn't do anything or speak because I was so drugged. I started to regain some strength because the universe was giving me my power back. So I'm just speaking from experience, and that's why I want to encourage people that have been through what I've been through to speak up, because if they're doing it to me, I'm pretty sure they're doing this to other people. Like, once a rapist, always a rapist. And if they're in a gang, because a lot of these people that are gang stalking and that are gang raping innocent people, they're in gangs. They're actually like gang affiliated. And it's like some type of like satanic ritual where if they gang rape somebody, then I don't know if it gives them like some type of power or fuel, or maybe like that's like some type of like hazing ritual, or like, you know what I'm saying, like to initiate or to recruit members. I don't know how they do things because I'm not a gangbanger, but all this gang stuff, gang, it's gang affiliated. The gang stalking, a lot of, I hate to say it, but like, you know, some of them are Nazis, some of them are democratic socialists, some of them are right-wing Republicans, some of them are Bloods or Crips, some of them are GDs, BDs, Peace Stones, some of them are a part of the Klan, and the one thing that they all had in common was that they were rapists and they liked to rape women and children. And sometimes vulnerable men too. And they would go around and they would just rape people who were, most of the time, nowadays they go after homeless people because that's the easiest access. Because a lot of people are starting to wake up to gang stalking, and they're about to find out about gang rape and gang rape culture. Because, I mean, people know about rape culture, but they don't know too much about gang rape culture. That's not really talked about. Well, it's going to be talked about now. I know it's a trigger topic, but it needs to be talked about so that people can be more aware, because they're doing that to children. They're gang raping children. Like, no child should ever have to go through something horrible like that. It's bad enough being molested by one adult, but to be gang raped by, there's no telling how many people, 17 people. You know what I mean? That's too much for a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old, even a 10-year-old to have to go through. And then for that experience to be used to like dominate them, like, that's inappropriate. And people like that don't last very long in jail. They don't. You go around and you rape a child, and then you make fun of them from the day that you rape them till adulthood. People don't like those type of predators in jail. People don't like those type of predators in general, but in jail they get dealt with. On the streets, some of them may get dealt with on the streets, some not so much. But I feel like rape culture is starting to become at an all-time high right now because of the gang culture. And I've never really had anything against gang members. It's the principles that they stand on that I don't necessarily agree with. Like, the Bloods and the Crips meant something entirely different when the Black Panther Party was being politically recognized. Ever since the Black Panther Party got dismantled, the Bloods and the Crips started to become something that of satanic, practice. The Bloods and the Crips actually used to be street soldiers, and they used to protect women and children. But ever since they got infiltrated by the Klan, they turned into a bunch of rapists. And it wasn't like that. They weren't like that. And they started getting to an all-time high, going out and raping people. I would say like maybe the 90s is like that death row culture, that's when they really started becoming booty warriors and raping people, women, children. Like, when that dude on that commercial was like, hide your kids, hide your wife because they raping everybody, he was serious. They literally really are. And that's people on the street. Now, people who got a place to stay are starting to, you hear and you see on the news about a lot of these dudes breaking into these people's houses, these women's houses, and attacking them in their sleep, or getting caught peeping through their window. And yeah, that's because they really out here. You know what I'm saying? Like, the police are watching them now. So if they attack homeless people, the police are watching. There's people watching on the streets because they in public. At first, they used to do that stuff in public on the streets all the time. And then I guess people got tired of, their behavior, and if you see somebody getting raped, I know if I see somebody getting raped, I'm reporting that. I'm reporting it. It ain't no snitching. No, fuck that. You lost my loyalty when you raped somebody. So, fuck that no snitching shit. And most of the people who be talking about no snitching are the ones who need to be snitched on. Shoot, when you going out there raping little babies and, beating up pregnant women and trying to kill pregnant women and trying to abort fetuses without the woman's permission because you don't want nobody to know you got somebody pregnant from raping them. Like, no, man, you lost my loyalty when you rape somebody. You try to hurt a child. You tried to hurt a pregnant woman. You tried to hurt a fetus, and you lost me. And she wanted to get an abortion. That's one thing, but you violate her body. You know what I'm saying? You violate that little kid, and that's inside her belly. You lost my loyalty at that point. You lost it. Not like when you do stuff like that. No, I don't support that type of behavior, and I'm willing to stand on it. I don't support that. I don't support rape culture. And when we don't report it, when we see it or when we find out about it, it's our duty to report it. Even if it's an anonymous tip, that's fine, but it needs to be reported. That behavior needs to stop. I understand some people are scared. You know what I mean? I completely understand. When the time is right for you, go to a higher power for guidance to guide you through, to give you the strength. Excuse me. I guarantee you will find the strength that you need to do what you need to do. I guarantee it. But don't let that slide. Like, if you see somebody getting assaulted or even bullied, report it. We're not doing that no snitching no more. Because a lot of people who are dedicated to that a lot of them be snitching on people for dumb stuff. A lot of them be quick to throw somebody under the bus, and they're the ones in the wrong, and they throwing somebody else under the bus, and then they have the nerve to try to tell you no snitching. Like, they're paranoid and desperate. I remember when no snitching actually stood for something. It was actually a revolutionary cause, but now they just turned it into they turned it into intimidation. Bully bait. They turned it into bully bait to hide what they did, which is 9 times out of 10 sexually assaulting someone and taking away someone else's free will. That's fucked up. And I'll be damned if I turned a blind eye to that. So, yeah, like I was saying before, tell your story. If you've been through human trafficking, if you were sexually assaulted, if you were gang raped, if you were enslaved, if you were molested, speak up and tell your story. Because I guarantee you, the people who assaulted you are 9 times out of 10 slandering you like yesterday's garbage. They're the ones sitting here telling you not to snitch, but yet they're telling everybody and their mama that you a hoe. Excuse my language, but a lot of them, if they can do something like that, they have no morals. They have no conscience. So, no. So if they can dog you out and disrespect you every day and steal money from you and have you out on the streets begging for food while you're pregnant and try to kill you while you're pregnant and disrespecting you in public and talking about inappropriate things about, like body shaming you and like saying like, how if we're talking about the biology of being gang raped, a lot of rapists are dirty as fuck. I'm gonna just keep it a buck. A lot of them are dirty and nasty. Like, I mean that for real. They are dirty and nasty people. Like, I feel like dogs clean up better than them. Dead ass. Like, a lot of them are some fucking grimy, nasty motherfuckers. Like, some of the most grimy and nasty people I've ever met in my life. So, if they willing to put you in jeopardy by sticking their dirty limbs where it doesn't belong, whether male or female, because it's not all men who rape, it's women too. Women rape too. But if they're willing to force you to engage with their dirty ass, You know what I'm saying? Like, that's nasty.